Hey everybody, Invisiblekatana here doing my Season 1 review for BNA, the I don't know if it's even the most recent. They put out so many freaking anime originals, I don't know if it's even the most recent one. But it's one of them, and it was a good one. I thought it was really entertaining. So, as the title says, this will have spoilers, but they will only be in the second half of this review. And naturally, you guys will get a full spoiler warning before I get into all the absolute insanity that this show actually involves. But, first off, it's a good show. I think you should definitely check it out. The animation is done by Trigger, who does Kill la Kill, or they did Kill la Kill, and they also did Gurren Lagann. Those are like, the two big ones. Trigger, Kill la Kill, Gurren Lagann. That's also by the same creator. I don't think BNA is the same creator, but I didn't think to look that up. That literally just occurred to me, like, that's what I always associate. Is like it's Trigger animation, and then I can't even remember the guy's name, but like as far as the story and everything goes, same writer. But I would assume that it's not, because I feel like that would have been kind of bigger, much bigger deal, because Gurren Lagann is huge, and then Kill la Kill was huge as well. So I feel like it would have been a bigger deal for BNA, and I feel like I haven't really heard anyone actually talk about it. So could be the case, might not be the case. I could just be super late to it, but either way, really good show. Animation is good, the action is good, the comedy is pretty good as well, and ultimately, the story involves people that can turn into animals. Like that's kind of the basic premise of it. It's people can be animals. Some people are just humans. And so, as usual, like anything where anyone has superpowers, it's X-Men, it's this, it's that. Anyone who's not just a human is hated, so they all have to go somewhere else and like hide off so that they can survive. And so it's about this girl, Michiru. She goes off to this island, and that's where the Beastmen live. And it's like, all right, I can escape from home, I can be free, and I can just kind of live the best a life as normal as I possibly can. And then of course, because she's the lead character in an anime, it's not normal. Things go wild, and she has this very unique position within the Beastman universe, and I won't get into the details of that because it's a decent part of the story. But naturally, it's not just normal for her. She has a very unique position, and then she gets involved with Shiro, who he pops up in episode 1. He's the cool character. He's the cool dude. He's a wolf, and wolves are cool, and he's just like this dude who's just insanely epic, and he's so tough. Everybody's just like, I'm about to beat this dude, and then he's like, whatever, and then he always wins. It's just like, oh, okay, he's just cool. He's he's got like, he's like on that Kakashi level where it's just like, he's just the cool dude. The only reason he would lose is if it's like the final boss type stuff. It's Kakashi status. It's just you, and then everybody else is below you. That's how it goes. So that's what he is for this show. He's the Kakashi, just the cool dude. And it's just sweet. Like, it's really cool. Like, she's the silly character who's trying to kind of figure out her new path in life, being on this island, being involved in the craziness that she's in, trying to figure out, some mysteries involving herself and her friend and stuff like that, and characters that kind of come into the fold later. And then there's the whole dynamic and history of beastmen versus humans and how that plays into the series as well. And I like the concept. I thought they did a really good job. And by the end, everything kind of ends up fitting together, because some stuff they reference and it's like, okay, they're just kind of putting out lore within the universe, and it's like, all right, it's cool to know that, because it's just like, all right, it's basically said in modern day, so you have humans and then you have the beastmen, and it's like, excuse me, here's what happened between them, here's big moments within the wars between humans and beastmen, things that kind of led to this specific island being funded, because I think it's only like 10 or 20 years old. It's really young. Like, this specific island where beastmen can come and just be safe is actually fairly new. So it's not like this really old thing. It's a really new concept for the world. So I like how they kind of give lore, and it's like, all right, I like this backstory. That's pretty neat. And then by the end of the series, or at least the end of the season, I don't know if this is going to get a season 2 or if this was just like its own thing, which it totally could be. That's one of the things I like about it. It could have a season 2, but with everything they did, I was like, okay, that could be it, and I'd be totally satisfied. But everything they talk about actually plays into the story by the time you reach the end. And I was like, oh, I thought that was just cool lore stuff, where I was like, I don't mind knowing that. Random exposition just to know about the backstories. We learned, our main character, she's learning about things that she didn't know because of course, her unique position within the world. She doesn't know a lot of this stuff. So we get to learn it with her. And it's like, oh, well, that's just cool to know. It's interesting. It kind of fleshes out the world. And then it's like, oh, yeah, it's backstory for now. And then 5 episodes later, it's like, that was super important. Hope you paid attention. So it's actually really good. So I like the way they handled it, because it's stuff that was just like, oh, that's nice to know. But then it actually plays a really big part as you go forward with some of the things that are referenced. So I like that element. Like I said, the action is really good. The animation is really interesting, because Trigger does really cool animation. But I can tell they specifically did this, and it was like just some scenes, I was flashing back to Gurren Lagann. Like, there are just specific moments where it was literally like, I feel like they did that exact thing in Gurren Lagann, and it may have just been straight up references. But I like the way it was handled. It's in between like Gurren Lagann and Kill la Kill, because Kill la Kill was specifically made to look like an older anime, and I feel like BNA is close to that. Like, it kind of looks, I guess hazy is the best way to put it, and that makes it seem like it looks ugly a little bit or looks weird, but you can tell it's not like it. It's 1080p. It's high quality, but the way they do it, it's like it's smooth. I guess that's the only way I can feel like I can really explain it. Back in the day, Gurren Lagann was like straight up at the time the best quality of anime. It was super sharp and everything. Kill la Kill came out and it was like, we're gonna smooth it out, we're gonna make it 1080p, but it's meant to look like old school anime. And then this feels like it's right in the middle of that, where it's like it's definitely it's not as smoothed out as Kill la Kill was, where it looks like an old school anime, but it's not as sharp as Gurren Lagann, even though it's made after both of those. So it's like it's right in the middle where they have that style, and it looks really good. But it was just like I could tell it's funny how Gurren Lagann is the oldest one, but if you looked at all three of them like in 1080p, if you could do that, Gurren Lagann would probably look like the newest anime just because of the way they specifically did it. And then they kind of smoothed out Kill la Kill to look old, and then this one's like right in the middle of those two. And I thought it looked really nice, but animation's good, characters are awesome, the story is pretty sweet. The action is just, it's trigger action. If you don't know what that means, it just means it's good. Like, that's all I can say. Trigger action just looks good. Trigger and Bones are like those two companies where I'm like, yeah, let's see some action, because they just do it right. It's always flashy, it's always ridiculous, and it's always amazing. So highly recommend it if you haven't seen the show. It's on Netflix. Like I said, it's one season. I think it's classic 12 or something episodes. I honestly don't remember. I just kind of went through it. I didn't even count the episodes, but it's worth the watch no matter how many it is. It's not insanely long. It's not like 50 episodes. I don't think it's even 20. Like I said, I think it's in that 12 range. But I highly recommend it. I think you guys will enjoy it if you like anime. So with that, I'm going to get into full-on spoilers. So this is your official spoiler warning. If you do not want to know what happens in this series, or at least within the first part, within the season, go watch it. Come back and check this out and let me know your thoughts on it. But go see it either way. Even if I do spoil it, it's worth seeing in person, because it's really, really good. So the main thing with Michiro being this like human who was turned into a beastman who can't transform, and then she ends up having all these crazy transformation abilities, I love that mystery. I was like, okay, so at first she couldn't transform, and then it was like, okay, her tail gets big. I thought that was just like her special power, because everyone seemed to have a very unique ability with their animal form. Some people can move super fast. I knew I have to look at the names, because it's been like a week since I've been doing like a million things, so I just had to sit down today and like review and do all my random stuff. Shido, I was like, I know this dude's the White Wolf. I knew he was from the beginning, because I was like, okay, she saw a random wolf and then things get crazy. He pops up, he just beats the bricks off these dudes, which was super cool, by the way, because I was like, okay, it can be like he kind of made it and he was tough, but he pulled it off. No, he was full Kakashi mode, or Itachi if you prefer, and he was just like, okay, we're about to be, boom, we're dead, everybody's dead, he won, it's over, and that was just it. I was like, I like this guy because he's cool. So that was awesome, and I was like, I know this guy's special. And then they do a couple of other things where it's like, clearly something weird's happening, like when Michiro like falls out the window and he just grabs her, he just catches her in midair, and I'm like, he took some hard hits. Like, he's just bouncing off this building and he lives. And it's just like, all right, I'm good. Just get off me for a minute. And I was like, that is different. Because I don't think anybody else can pull that off. That's not just like, oh, he's kind of strong. That's very unique. She obviously had her own stuff going with the transformations. And then he was just taking dives like it was nothing. And they even reference it where it's like, she's got transformations and this guy is super tough. Like, these two are unique. And I was like, yeah, I didn't think, he was a normal character. So I knew something was going on there. And then they bring in her friend. I wish I wrote her name down, but I forgot. But Michiro's friend, we do end up seeing her later, and that's where they kind of tease that she's the White Wolf, and then we find out that she's just, transforming as well. And of course, we get the whole backstory, and it's like, oh, that accident that they were in, that's actually what caused them to get infected with the Beastmanitis, and that allowed for them to basically turn into Beastmen, but very unique versions who have all these transformations where they can just turn into any animal, which I find very interesting, because it's weird enough that they turn into that, but then it's like, where does the transformation stuff come from where they can turn into any animal? So I thought that was interesting, because I was like, well, if it's just one creature, wouldn't they only turn into that one creature? Because her friend turned into a wolf, she turned into a tanuki, and then they can just switch into anything they want. And I was like, I didn't think to question it when I was watching it, but I think about it now, I'm like, I don't think they said it was a mixture of animals' blood. It was just specifically from a certain beastman. Maybe they did explain that. That's probably just the part that I kind of glossed over when they explained it. It was like, oh, it's just beastman blood. I don't know if I caught the specification of is it one type or was the blood actually a mix. But either way, I don't really care that much. It was just like, oh, that's interesting that they get these transformation powers as well. But it was super cool. It led to a lot of interesting stuff with Michiro figuring out that she could do that. And it's like, well, I want to do this and I want to do that. The baseball episode, amazing. So freaking funny. Just the start of that. And it was like, yeah, well, baseball here is people get killed. And like the flamingo threw the knives at the panda. It was just like, and he just dropped face down. I was like, I love this. This is hilarious. That little bear totally made me think of Kill la Kill. I cannot remember that girl's name, but the main character's best friend, who was just insane that whole anime, that little bear guy in this show was her for sure. Like even the way he was drawn, I was like, that's just her from Kill la Kill, but in bear form and a little boy. Because he was funny. He was getting scammed all the time. Like when they bought all the new equipment after like their big baseball game, it was like, yeah, it's like a 500% interest rate or something. I was like, these characters are so dumb, but they made me laugh every time. Like he was super funny. When they were all together, they were still funny. So I love when they got introduced. I was super happy about that because once he started to pop up, everything he did was just dumb and funny to me, and just him trying to, make a penny, and he was trying to make it happen. He was funny all the freaking time. But I like the characters, like I said, the animation style. That specifically, his characters, every time I was just like, I just see that girl from Kill la Kill, the crazy girl. So that always made me laugh because I was like, those are just two sides of the same coin right there. So I love that for sure. But the action was so good. And then, of course, when we finally see Shiro, like, he takes the collar off and unleashes the power of the White Wolf, he completely kills this dude who was looking super sick. He actually reminded me of Rhino from Spider-Man. I was like, oh, it was like the armored version of Rhino from Spider-Man. And then he just, like, slices him up and, like, he's gone. Dead and gone. I was like, destroyed. But super cool. Loved all of that. And then I have my little notes here. And this was only in the series finale where I decided I'm going to take some notes down because things were building up. I was like, okay, they have, the Beastman Island. They have the mayor. They have the guy who owns, like, the big pharmaceutical company, the younger guy. And so things were okay. It was like, all right, something weird's going on. They're the ones that caused Michiro to transform. We learned that from the scientists in like episode 3 or something, super early on. We knew that company was involved with what happened to her because they recognized her. And so I was like, okay, these are the humans that are doing something wrong, something weird's happening, they're the bad guys. And then we get to the last episode, and this dude, who we thought was a human the whole effing time, he turns out to be a beastman. And not just a beastman, as I put here, pure blood beastman. Whole series, given all the backstory about what happened, the day Shiro died and how all the blood pulled into him and that's how he became the White Wolf and all this stuff. And then we find out they're pure blood beastmen. And this guy's a freaking golden Cerberus, which is cool. I thought it was super sweet. And I put what question mark exclamation point because that's crazy. And then pure beastmen are just straight up immortal. Okay, that's cool too. I put Golden Biju Bomb because when he shot at him, it made me think of the Biju Bomb from Naruto. So that was nuts. I was like, this dude's a 3-headed Golden Cerberus who is an immortal, pure beastman. So his scent is different. So he doesn't smell like a beastman. He just seems like human. Like he can hide his scent, or he just smells so unique. He simply appears to be human. Insane. It was such a crazy twist, but it worked so well. Like the way everything was in, he was already the bad guy. He just seemed like the human bad guy. And it was like, no, he can actually fight because he's not just the cool guy who's going to bring in someone else to fight for him because he doesn't have that physical element. He just has like the mental component of like, hey, you can't attack me. You guys are already in a tough spot as beastmen. You attack the humans, it's not going to go so well for you. Like that's how it seemed like it was going to play out. Like it was that mental dynamic of like the power can't attack the mind sort of thing. And I was like, I like that element. And it was like, nope. He's smart, and he's a pure beastman, and he's a golden Cerberus. He can shoot Biju bombs, and it doesn't matter. He's super cool. So then they fight, and it was just an amazing fight. Just laser beams going all over the effing place. I forgot what they called it at the end, where everyone, like, when they get mad, they go super crazy. So that happens to Shiro. Then he has to control it. We end up finding out that Michiro is the cure for that, for them, like, going absolutely insane, which I assume was from the blend of her being human and, like, part beastman now. So that was so cool. And then, of course, he ended up pissing off the dude. I wish I wrote a lot of names down because I suck with names. But the main villain, he was about to destroy him, and it's like, oh, she cured me, I can cure him. So he does an uppercut, so he bites his arm, and it's like, now you'll get to live. So that was super cool. Let's see, creepy guy was trying to go full hentai. Oh, so Michio's friend, like the old dude who wanted to take over, he turned into something, and it was hentai. It went hentai. I did write his name, Jackie. That was the bear. Jackie the bear is hilarious. That was literally the line that I wrote. Anima TV logo looks like Netflix. That was something I definitely noticed. They have it on the trucks. Like, it was the red lettering. It was like slightly curved in the middle. I was like, I think they did that on purpose because they're on Netflix. Yep. And then old school Gurren Lagann final fight for sure. It was just beams and this and that. Believing the me that believes in you. It was all of it. It was all of it, and it was great. So I love the ending. I love the whole show. Like, it was actually really good. And then the ending just went like, to use a classic term, they turned it up to 11. In that last episode, which is what they do. It's what they do. Like, the shows are always really entertaining, and then you have cool fights here and there. And then it's like, here's the ending. And it's like, you're kind of on this steady incline. It's like, okay, and then you have like your little moments, calmer episodes and silly stuff. And then it starts to peak, and then you're like, it's gonna get to like right about there. And then it's like, pow, and it just shoots off. That's what they do with Trigger. And then the animation and the action just goes so ridiculously wild. And it was good. It was great, even. So I love the ending of the show, for sure. Like, the whole thing was great. And like I said, if it ended here and it's one season, I'd be okay with it, because they really did tell a complete story. And the only thing that they don't technically touch on is, okay, are we actually going to disperse the island because of this? Or is it all said and done because now that they have technically a cure for it in Michiro, everything's fine. So they don't have to deal with that. They would have other issues later on. So they could easily make a second season where they do talk about the fact that they tried to kill off the mayor. They took her, she went to like the human part of Japan, and they tried to kill her off and stuff like that. I don't think we ever actually find out if her second in command, if he actually ended up surviving or not. I don't think I may have missed that, but I don't think they actually show whether or not he lived or died when he was like, you get out of here and I'll hold him off for you. But they could easily do a part 2 where it's like, all right, well, now that we've taken that first step, we know that we can still bring more people in. We know that we could potentially, if we can find a way to legally figure it out, we could make another island, use Michiro's blood, even use her friend's blood, and be like, hey, this is the cure for that, so that it doesn't actually end up happening again, which was, revealed to be like what actually happened back in the day with Shiro's people. It wasn't just the humans attacked us. It was, no, you guys were going nuts because you weren't pure beastmen. So I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. So they were already attacking each other, and then humans realized they're going to go nuts. They're already killing each other. They're definitely going to go crazy and kill us. We need to go in and take them down. And, it totally made sense, too, because it was like, well, how could they have even won back in the day? They had spears and shields. How could they have beat beastmen? And I was like, this dude's throwing out some interesting questions that I didn't question. So it was really good. Like, I like the way they explained it, and then, they go into that element of, I guess mixed blood beastmen going crazy when there's too many, in close proximity. So I like the way they handle like the crazy, sci-fi science of it all. So I thought it was really good. I like the way it was all handled. Like I said, it's easy to say. Action was good. Animation was good. The comedy was well done. I like Michio as a character. I like seeing her do all of her transformations and get out of all these crazy scenarios and stuff like that. I like the ending song. They use it a lot. I said they used it more in the second half than they did in the first half, but I feel like once her friend actually came in, they played the song like 3 or 4 times, in the actual episode, but I didn't mind because I actually really like the ending theme song. So I'm going to have to remember that because I really want to catch it on YouTube and download it. But I really like the show. I would love to see a season 2. I think it would do really well just to see what they would do next. Now that they figured out their kind of internal thing, they still have the external issues of humans versus beastmen, and maybe they could even go somewhere else and we see another island or something like that. So I would love to see that happen. I would love to see the show expand and just see what else we can get. So I hope we get a season 2, but even if we don't, it would suck because there's always potential. If anything makes money, it can have a season 2. So it would suck if it didn't, but even if it didn't, I'd be satisfied with what we got from this because it was really well done, and it doesn't end on a cliffhanger. It's just they could go into another story, or it could just end with the solution they have, and I'm like, cool, I'm fine with that. But I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't mind a season 2 because I would love to see them now that they have that better control. They built up that trust. It's always fun to see what happens when you go into like the second part of a series after the initial interaction of the characters, and they build up that trust, they learn their powers and all that, and then we just get a full season 2 where they've already done that. So now we just get to see them kind of go buck wild in a crazier situation. That's always super fun. So I hope we do get one. But like I said, either way, this show was good enough to kind of sit on its own as a one season, just boom, we got it and it's gone. But we'd love to know your thoughts on it. Do you want a season 2? Not want a season 2? Did you think about Kill la Kill and Gurren Lagann? Because they're like I said, there's so much. It was just like, you can't not think of it when it's trigger animation. There's always going to be something in there where it's like Gurren Lagann. It just has to be. But we'll let us know your thoughts on it. Good, bad, season 2 hopes and dreams, if you even want a season 2. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.